Welcome to the Failed Podcast. I am your host, Sam Esquivel. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting us in what we're doing here. Don't forget what we're doing is sharing people's challenges and people's failures so that we can see what they learned, and maybe it can help you learn, help you skip some things maybe you shouldn't go through. But we've had a fun time with everyone we've sat down and talked to. Today we have someone in studio that I think is going to bring an interesting perspective in life, just because of where he grew up, how he grew up, and what he's doing now in the creative field. And he's also launched a clothing company, which I'm curious to learn about what he's faced doing that as far as challenges, and see what some of his goals are. And so this is going to be a great conversation that we're going to have with, and I'm going to give you his name in a second, but he's known as Grizzly on a podcast that he does with two other Osos, if that means bears in Spanish. Yep. So it's three Osos. What's the name of the podcast?
It's called OsosGolososPodcast.
It's called OsosGolososPodcast. Look it up, type it in. I'll put it in the link below, so you just tap there. Go listen to it. I listen to it, but you can watch it. And I think if you want to get a more of a laugh, then watch it, because you get to see you guys' facial expressions. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, wake up. Are you asleep? You have to like, I'm joking. No, but it's fun watching y'all. But I listen to, because I'm always moving in my car and stuff. So I listen to it, and it's still good. I still enjoy it. And so Jose Macias is in the house. Welcome, my man. How you doing? Introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump right into the Fail Podcast.
All right. Thank you for having me, Sam.
Yeah.
My name is Jose Macias, a.k.a. Grizzly. I have my own podcast, OsosGolosos. We're on all platforms. You want to take a listen.
Yeah.
And I got my own clothing brand and my own print-on-demand business on the side and everything.
Yeah, dude. I love it, man. So we were talking earlier, and you grew up in Southside Fort Worth, and coincidentally, so did I. So if you tell me anything that's not true about Southside, I'm going to call you out on it, because I know Southside too. I think I got like 15 years on you.
Yeah.
So we lived in two different eras in Southside, but it still remains. There's a lot of things that continue to be the same. Mm-hmm. Tell me where you grew up, how you grew up, what the world around you was like, what developed you to who you are today. And I would define you as funny, as a creative, and you're outgoing. You're chasing some dreams. Like when you think podcast and clothing, dude, that's aiming for the sky, man. No one does those two things and says, I want to do it for fun. No, you're aiming because you want to make an impact. You want your voice to be heard. Tell me a little bit about how you grew up, and what you were like when you were little.
Yeah, so I grew up in the South Side on Seminary and McCart. I've lived there since, I'm 27 now, so about like 24 years of my life there.
Yeah.
And as a kid, man, you see how I am now. I was more timid and shy and more kept to myself when I was smaller.
Yeah.
Just because of just the environment, man. I think back then, if you were more outgoing, you were seen kind of like weird, because everybody over there in the South Side is a little serious, takes life a little too serious at times,
Yeah.
But that's me, man. I mean,
were you like a troublemaker growing up? Were you a good, everything by the book, good grades?
My parents would say I would be a troublemaker, but within family. As soon as I stepped outside the doors, man, I was more getting straight, good grades, getting everything done right. My environment made me look at life differently.
Yeah.
So, like, just the way the culture was back then, it's you saw a cycle that wasn't really a good thing.
Yeah. What are some challenges that you did face during that time, during your adolescence, like 15, 16, 17, like in high school? Those seem to be informative years, man. They're tough on an individual. If you're not strong-minded, if you're influenced easily, dude, it can really hurt you, and you fall behind a lot. And so what were some of the challenges that you faced growing up?
Growing up, man, I would say my biggest challenge was my mom always being sick her whole life, basically, since I've seen her. I had to grow up pretty fast. I had to learn to fend for myself, because mom being always at the hospital and dad always at work. it's basically, and then I had two other, siblings that weren't really in my life per se as a good influence.
Yeah.
So
what were the gaps like between your brothers and sisters?
I think we're all separated by 6 years.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So that means the other one was 12 or younger, right? Was one younger, one older, or both of them older?
Both of them older. I'm the baby.
Got it, man. So you mentioned your mom being sick. And we don't think about that kind of challenge in life and what it does to you. Mm-hmm. Did it make you sad? Did it make you angry? You said you had to grow up fast. What were some of the things initially as you started understanding that, this is not a good thing? Mm-hmm. How did it start developing the way that you think and look at life?
Definitely my mom being sick kind of made me more angry and sad, just because it was like she couldn't be there half the time for the events. As you're smaller, you have football games, you have baseball, little events and like you want to go to, but her not being there, it's gonna make you like, why is she missing out on this stuff? Our other parents, are there. And my dad always being busy working. I love the dude. I love his hard work, and I think it's just seeing a family member sick makes you see life differently.
Yeah,
because for sure life is really, really short. Anything can happen to whoever it is.
Do you felt like that you were trying to make the best of all the time that you had with your mom, or did you just feel like she's sick and she's going to be around forever and you kind of took it for granted? How did you behave towards your mom with that, with knowing that she was sick?
So being smaller, I would be like, my mom's sick, but she always came through. Yeah. She always came out the other side healthier, came out even better. Good. But then she'll get sick again. So like I said, that cycle kind of got familiar. I guess it got like,
it was just the way your family was.
It's just the way I got used to seeing it. My mom being out, going back in, going out, going back in, going out, back in. So I got used to it. Yeah. So it kind of made me cherish more of the moments that I have with my family members. Since she's passed away 2 years ago, I've kind of like, okay, I got all this time that I need to start spending. Instead of chasing the bag, spend more time with your family.
Got it.
It's hard, man.
I get it, dude. So, okay. Looking back at your relationship with your mom, we reflect and we ask ourselves, this is what my mom taught me. And sometimes our parents, maybe they don't have the words or experience to teach us, or maybe they don't like read books or things like that, like what we have, like mentors and stuff. But what were some of the things that she was in your life that she taught you, whether she told you or she just did it by the way she lived?
I guess by the way she lived.
And by the way, if people are watching, this is a lesson on respecting your parents. You know what I mean? Especially like if they're healthy, but even if they're sick, on how to act. Like either or causes us to behave a certain way. It's just you got handed a mom that was sick. Yeah. And so that does something a little different in your heart. And so what were some of the things that she taught you that you carry with you today?
So I've got her loving heart. So, you look at me, I'm this big dude, kind of looking scary, as people some say.
Kind of like a grizzly.
Kind of like a grizzly. But I have a big old heart, man. I think that's one of my that's my best characteristics about me, is I care about people. So from her, I got that, because even though she was sick, she would take care of my brother and sister and myself, made food, and whatever we needed, she tried her best to get it done. Yeah. And my dad is the same way. My dad's a real hardworking guy, so all my hard work and good work ethic came from him. Yeah. And just being loving and not taking things for granted. Yeah. Because she would always, I guess she said, like, man, I wish I would have taken care of myself better, or done this and done that. So also just taking care of yourself is a big thing too.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. And if you're watching, just in case, man, this is not beer. This is water. This is liquid water. I have to say, because there's people watching me that they're going to be like, Sam fell off the deep end. No, this is water, okay? And so
there ain't anything wrong with drinking through the podcast, dude.
Yeah, so, when you crack it open, dude, that's yours right there. Like, crack it open. It's so funny, because look what it sounds like. Oh, that right? It doesn't even sound like water.
And it kind of looks like a Modelo can too.
So enjoy. We're just getting hydrated in here. So, okay. It's interesting because I'm looking at the dynamic between you and your mom. Yeah. But you're a young kid and you're in the house, and your dad's a hard worker, so he has to clock in and clock out a full day at work. He's probably tired. He's coming home, but he also is her husband.
Yeah.
And you're watching the way that he is a husband to your mom. What did you see that your dad dealt with? What were some of the challenges that he dealt with that you're just like, man, that, I got to give it to this man.
Yeah.
Like, he's really stepping up, What are some of the things that you got from him just from observing and watching?
Oh, man. My dad, to be honest, is my superhero because, from what I see, is no other husband would have lasted this long with my mom. Because,
they forget the vows to death do us part in sickness and all that.
Yeah.
When it's true, it sucks.
It's true, yeah. And then the way I seen him, I was like, man, it's kind of like you see the amount of chivalry he had. He always tended to her, even though he was tired from work. He was make sure she was good. Yeah, make sure she had everything she needed. And and just seeing him, I can see how well he hid his pain. Yeah, because as a male, you can't really show your feelings, and he was a prime example of that. But he was always a loving father to us. But seeing him tend to my mom and making sure she was good no matter what happened. Yeah. And seeing him coming home hard from work, tired, and I'm pretty sure stressed out from from whatever my mom goes through. He always made sure that he had a good smile on his face. So that's how I've seen him as a good, strong character in my life. That I got to learn everything from. And
you said that your mom's passed away. She passed away 2 years ago. What have you learned since then? Right? How have you seen your dad now after, because that's boy, talk about a challenge. It's one thing to have her in front of you sick, but it's the other thing that, there's this dilemma where you're like, man, she's in a better place. She's not going to be sick. Yeah. But selfishly, we're like, no. I'd rather have my mom here. Yeah. But what has that caused in your life? What has that challenge taught you in this past 2 years?
Like I would say, my dad, the way he is now, I can see he's a lot less stressed. He looks kind of scary calm, because I see him now, and I asked him, I was like, do you like feel any sadness or do you grieve? And he's like, yes, I do. You have to learn how to live with it. But the way I see it, this is him talking to me. He's like, the way I see it is, she's finally at rest and she's finally feeling good. Yeah. And that made me click. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Being selfish. I want her here no matter what. Yeah. Even if she was still sick, still having her here is the main objective, But as soon as he said that, I was like, you know what? You're right. So I came to learn to make peace with it because she's not sick anymore. She's chilling. She's doing whatever she wants to do. And always, no matter what, always watching over us. Yeah. So just be like, just learning to accept is, I think, the hardest thing for anybody. Yeah. Because once you accept them, and I don't want to say life gets easier, but it gets smoother.
Yeah, I got it, man. Yeah. So how's you and your dad's relationship now?
Oh, it's good. I always try to call him since then. I call him every week. Even though we don't live far apart, I was like, look, man, how you doing? Is everything good? Yeah. And then we'll go out to the Southside Bingo, and then we just play for a little bit with him. Yeah. But it made our bond a little stronger. Made me, like I said, visit family more because you never know.
Yeah, dude. So, okay, so now you and your dad's relationship is a lot better now. And your family life, it seems like you learned a lot. It's definitely developed who you are. And then let's just jump ahead. You graduate, you're living life. And then I don't know how many jobs you had, but you pointed out that you worked at FedEx for a little bit. Yeah. You were there for 4 years. Yep. and when people tell me they get fired, I always think of Friday, you get caught stealing boxes or whatever. Yeah. But anyways, tell me a little bit about your work life. And we're leading up to your, Grizzly's creative self. Okay. Okay. And so you're working, you're clocking in, clocking out. What's going on there? What are you learning? And then what happens?
So it's I've worked construction with my dad almost my whole life. Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, doing what?
Masonry work. So brick and stone, everything that has to do with brick and stone, my dad knows and I know now. Okay. But it's that's not what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? It's hard work. It is. And being out in the sun, kicks your butt. And I was like, man, I love the money is great too, but putting this much hard work for just little rewards sometimes kind of like, wears people out.
Yeah.
So from there, my first actual job was working at Domino's.
Yeah.
And then from Domino's, I went to U-Haul. And then from U-Haul, Elias, which is one of my friends on the podcast, he worked at FedEx. He called me up one day. He was like, hey, you want to come work with FedEx? And I was like, why not?
Yeah.
So I was there for 4 years, man. First year, I was a driver. And then my second, third, and fourth year, that's when I got promoted to a manager.
Got it.
So,
and then you had an epic fail, man. This is the funny one. Okay, so I don't know why, but stories about getting fired are funny. Sometimes they're sad or whatever. But okay, so you get fired, bro. Okay, that's the fail. Mm-hmm. Tell me, you don't have to tell me why, or maybe you can. But what did you learn? Because when people get fired, okay, they're either comfortable. You said you had bought a home, things. You were relying on that money, and now that money was going to be gone. So this is a challenge that's either going to make you rethink life, redirect life, or come up with something new. So what did it do to you? Because a lot of us sometimes we need that nudge. If not, we'll be there another 4 years before we try something new. And so you kind of had this unpredicted thing happen. So how'd you deal with that challenge, and what was next after you got fired? And the reason I'm going to point out, because there's a lot of people who are going to get fired. Yeah. And for a lot of them, it's a bad time. It's a gray cloud. And, you can get pretty bummed out. Yeah. How did you handle it? You seem to be doing better now. Walk me through that.
Okay. So when I was working at FedEx, since I was a manager there, I was there for 4 years, like I said. Within my second year is when I started my side gig, because I saw the amount of money our contractors were making. And I was like, if they're making this much amount of money, let me do something myself so I can bring my own money,
Yeah, yeah.
So my fourth year was in like 2021. It was like the beginning of the year still. Our contractor had sold his routes and came in with a new contractor. Got it. So if you didn't know, FedEx is contracted delivery drivers, and FedEx is his own entity. So whenever he sold out, the new contractors came. They were pretty cool, they were loving guys. But my old contractor left a bad taste in the upper management's mouth. So they were trying to clean house. Yeah, yeah. So I was short on drivers. Over there, you had to do a DOT test. Yeah. So mine had expired that week.
Oh, man.
So we were short on drivers. I didn't have anybody else to do this route. I hopped on, logged on, knowing that, my shit was expired. Yeah. And they caught it. They were like, hey, man, you can't be doing this. I'm sorry, but that's a big old violation. You're fired. Man. So, and then
I was just watching that for you, man.
Yeah. I was like, look, bro, it was either not get these packages delivered and fail service or, or get fired at the same time. Yeah. But I still got fired eventually.
Okay. So that happens. What was your first night, first week? When did you start realizing, dude, I made a mistake? And when did it switch from it's a mistake, but there might be an opportunity?
Yeah. So, man, the first week I was bummed out. I'm not going to lie, kind of like depressed, bummed out, because I was like, man, this was what was feeding me, what was keeping the roof over my head, what was paying the bills.
What were some of the, like when you say depressed, what were some of the things that you were doing? And the reason I'm identifying it is because some of us may go through a small period of depression, but we never hear what people go through during that time, So what was your day in and day out? How were you sleeping? How were you eating? Things like that.
So when I first got fired, and my mom had passed away like a year before. So when I got fired, I had a whole week to reflect. And what really got to me was whenever my mom passed away, it was so fast that we got done with everything. The viewing and everything was done in a week. And then she was buried and everything. So I didn't really have time to react. Yeah. Because I was always busy at work. So within that first week, I got fired. Second day, I was like, damn, I really did get fired. I'm not going to work. Yeah. So I was thinking about, I was like, how am I going to get these bills? What am I going to apply for next? I got to find something that matches kind of the pay, what I'm doing, what I was doing at FedEx. And I got kind of caught in my own head. So I was like, man, I need to do something. If not, I'm going to be a failure,
Yeah, dude.
And I was down. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go out. I was eating more, depression makes you eat a lot. And I was just like, damn, bro. I was like, I really just stepped down to where I imagined myself on this pedestal. And
you were doing good. You were manager.
Good. Yeah. And I got fired. And I was like, damn, I got to start all over again and put all my energy out again, to start over.
Yeah.
And I was just down. I was like, man, I can't do it, man. It took me 4 years to get where I was at. It's going to take me another 4 or 8 or even longer. So
when you wake up and you were like, you got the sword out and you're like, today is the day when I'm making a change.
So I think I was the third weekend. I was like, look, bro, like I had mentioned, I started my side business. I make shirts, and I was like, look, I see people making like thousands of dollars a month just doing shirts, popping them out, doing customs, So I applied myself more to it. Since I was working at FedEx, I didn't have any time for it, so I just had the machinery there, and I had put my my time and energy to it. I started getting some orders in, started cranking out shirts, making a little bit of money, and I was still like, this ain't enough. I need to find another job.
Yeah.
So I had a kind of like moment to realization. I looked myself in the mirror and I was like, look, bro, you're motherfucking grizzly. Said, no matter, you've been through a whole bunch of stuff, you always came on top, and your mom always taught you, no matter what, man, just keep on going,
Yeah.
And from there, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm right. I'm tired of being in this slump. I got to do something. I started applying myself to more jobs, putting myself more out there. And at the same time is whenever the idea of OsosGolososPodcast kind of came up.
Okay, slow down. I had to pause. There's 2 things. Okay, so you went to the mirror. You had a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of people don't realize that whenever you fail or you have a challenge in your life, there has to come a point where you talk to yourself and you look in the mirror, like almost physically. Like sometimes it might happen while you're sleeping, and you have to just say, bro, you got to snap into it. You got to do something now. So that's so important for those people listening right now. That have you had that conversation in the mirror? Have you said, you know what, dude, you're not doing what you want. You're not going to reach your dreams unless you tell yourself enough is enough. And I'm glad that kind of happened and you point that out, because some people need to hear that.
Yep.
But you also refer to yourself as Grizzly. You're like, you're a Grizzly. You got to step. So it's a nickname that you have and you had for a while. Tell me where it came from. Who gave it to you? What's the significance of Grizzly?
Yeah. So Grizzly was a nickname I got given by my sister when I was 13. Because I was always big my whole life, and then she had came back from California because she used to live out there. And then she was like, you know what you remind me of? She was like, you remind me of a little grizzly cub.
Yeah.
And ever since then, they started calling me Grizzly at the house. No more Jose or Daniel, my middle name. It was always Grizzly. So no matter where I went, I introduced myself as Grizzly.
Yeah.
And I think that nickname suited me. Because Grizzlies are super calm, but once it comes to go time, they're a total beast.
Yeah.
And I had to realize that come to Jesus moment when I was looking in the mirror. I reflected a lot what my childhood was, the struggle of seeing my mom sick, always coming out, always pushing through with it. The environment was super negative sometimes. Growing on the South Side, you already know how. Dude, like,
so your mom's life was motivating you.
Yeah.
That your life was like, this is nothing. Like I just got fired. Like things are still pretty good. Like, but your mom gave you motivation. That's powerful. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's where my motivation comes from. Because it's like, man, if she could pull through anything, why can't I?
Yeah.
And she was sick, but no matter what, she always came through until the final time. I guess she was tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, you always got to look yourself in the mirror when you're feeling down and remember who you are, because the way I see it is God wakes you up every day because your story ain't done yet. So you're waking up for a reason. Your purpose is still not fulfilled yet.
And so you mentioned the Osos Golosos as you start launching your shirt company, your printing company, but then you start talking to your friends, and now we're stepping into the guy that I know, the guy that I met. We met at a networking event. I always forget who hosted it.
I think it was Fort Worth Roots.
Fort Worth Roots.
Yeah.
No, Fort Worth Roots, but it was the other guys from like Panther.
The Funky Panther.
The Funky Panther and the PBR. It was all this thing, but it was a great event.
Yep.
And That's where I met you guys. And you're a podcaster, okay? So tell me how you stepped into that. And the reason I think that this part of your life is so interesting is because 1 million people want a podcast. Everyone says it, right? And forget it. There's 10 million podcasters. But there's a few that can actually do it because they don't understand the work that goes behind it. So you start talking about it with your friends.
Yeah.
What is the beginning process? What is the beginning steps that y'all take to launching and doing and figuring out your roles in the podcast and what y'all were gonna do? How did all that look?
So me and Elias, or aka Ghost, we've all ever since we worked at FedEx, we were always on the phone just talking a whole bunch of shenanigans.
Yeah.
And just we'll have random people join the call and they'll just join in and chime in with us. So from him, he was the one that actually came. I was like, we should make a podcast. Just an idea.
Yeah.
And we was like,
and he's like the quietest one.
Yeah.
He's the one that said
he's super quiet, super shy, man. But he's outgoing once you crack him open. But I was like, you know what? I'd be down.
Yeah.
And it's been in the talks for like months. And then Juan, this old type friend of mine since elementary, he's been mentioning that he's been wanting to start up a podcast.
Yeah.
So one day he had hit me up out of the blue, which I guess it was meant to be. He's like, hey, I'm down the street from you. Let's go out to eat. And then from there, we ate. I mentioned it to him. He's like, you know what? I'd be so down to start it up. He's like, I already have half the equipment from what I did with Spectre, which is like the little group they're in, the filming group.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, dope. So I talked to him. I was like, you for sure want to do it? He's like, yeah. Called Elias. I was like, hey, bro, I think it's time to start it because we have somebody, a third basically, that knows what he's doing. And then from there, we all met up and we're like, what's it going to be about? And I was like, I don't know, bro. It's more of a...
it's like Seinfeld. It's about nothing. It's about everything.
Yeah, nothing and everything at the same time. And they were just, let's just do what we did. Just go off the dome and just flow with it. Just go off each other's energy.
So starting off, what were some of the challenges that y'all faced, and what did y'all learn, and how did y'all have to adjust right off the bat so that y'all could keep going and create momentum? And this is just great insight for a creative or someone who wants to launch a podcast. So tell me a little bit about those things.
Okay, so we had to get the equipment. First off, we had the equipment we still use now is the cheap mics that were like $25, and then the stands like another $25, and then Juan already had the recorder. So you know what? Okay, how are we gonna do it? We're gonna do audio or video. From there, you gotta be like, okay, we want to do both, but as we begin, get everything like I guess situated.
Yeah.
And within our first couple episodes, we had to learn how to use the recorder. What good audio to use, how good our voices sound, what do we need to improve, how close or how far we need to tuck away from the mic. And the biggest thing was time. So we all had to get a schedule set where we can all meet up at the same time every week and without being a problem.
Yeah.
That worked for like a good 2 weeks, and they were like, oh, we got to change it, bro, because we're busy. I was like, okay. And then we chose another day, different time. And just now we changed it again to where like for sure we all know we have time for this day at this time.
You're like Monday at 1 a.m. because it's so hard, man.
Yeah. And we chose Wednesday, the middle of the week. It was like Wednesday, 6 o'clock. We'll be here at my house and record.
Yeah, if not, you're fired.
Yeah.
You gotta commit, man.
Yeah.
So okay, when did it become serious? Like when was like if in the beginning, in the first few episodes or 10, you can be, man, I quit, man. This is a joke. Like it's not working out. When did that start going out? When did y'all say, you know what? No, we're doing this, and it doesn't matter who's listening. We're doing it.
Well, so I guess within our third podcast, for our third weekend, we are like, okay, now that we got everything that we need to know out the way, it's time to go. Yeah. So, like I said, we're always just flowing off the dome. There's nothing ever scriptured, nothing ever said. We're just like, what are you thinking about today? And then from there, just whole hour, 30-minute conversation.
Well, I've watched a lot of your episodes, okay, and they're crazy. I'm going to put the link below. Okay. So just go listen to them. And then if you're my friend, let me know what you think. Again, we're both Fort Worth podcasts. And so one of my objectives is to support local podcasts and creatives and, meeting y'all at the networking event. I assume that yours is the same thing to kind of help each other out. Yep. And so thank you again. I know we're well into the show, but for coming on the Felt Podcast, I think this is great. Yep. It shows the camaraderie, that we can have. Mm-hmm. And so the show's super funny, but one thing stood out to me, and that is that you are so honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm scared to be honest. Yeah. That as much as y'all are. Mm-hmm. And in life, I think, and this is just my opinion, that it's a failure when you don't know how to be honest. Now there's a limit. Don't be rude or ugly or things like or malice or anything like that.
Learn to limit.
But but y'all do it so freely and y'all say things like, dude, y'all don't care. And I'm like cringing on the other side, and then my wife's like, oh, what are you listening to? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's for me, Yeah. But tell me, and all three of y'all share in that. Did y'all talk about that? Is that just the way that y'all are? Are y'all aware of it? How are y'all developing that? What are some things that y'all are setting up for the future with the podcast based on that real talk and then / being funny and working together?
Honestly, man, I guess it's just how we all are.
Yeah.
We're outgoing, but at the same time, we're not afraid to say what's on our mind. But when we're all together, because we all know when you got real good friendship, you can make fun of whoever it is and then never have hurt feelings, or they learn how to fire back.
Yeah.
And I guess just growing up with them, man, they helped me, come out my cocoon. Because like I said, I was timid. I was real well kept to myself. So I've always been inside, bubbly and outgoing. And then they helped me come out. But it's just... We're just like, you know what, bro? Just since we ain't got no topic, just say whatever says off your head. No matter what it is, bro, we'll just jump off of it.
Yeah.
And then we got the first 2 episodes, we were kind of scared what to say. And then I think we just know, F it, bro. Just go.
Yeah. And I can tell.
And then from there, I guess we just got more ballsy, and we're just like, you know what? This is who we are. I mean, accept it or not, but this is how we are.
Now, if a podcaster sat with you, someone who wants to launch a podcast, how many episodes are y'all in?
Oh, bro, like 45, I think.
45. So what are some of the things that y'all maybe got wrong in the beginning, but then what are some things that you've learned now that would, you feel like would help someone else if they're jumping into podcasting or just being creative?
I would just say just go for it.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it, because if you overthink it, you'll never do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because people always plan, but they never, take the plan to action. Yeah. I would say just learn how you want to do it. If you want to do audio, video, get it down. If you want to do both, video came later on for us because we didn't know how to record it. So I would say learn what you want to do: audio, video, Anchor FM. I don't know have you used that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Anchor FM is a free platform to let you put your stuff everywhere, basically.
Yeah. No excuses.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
No excuses, bro, because all your sources are there.
Yeah.
You just got to use them. Just go for it, man. Get yourself a good recorder, a good mic. If it's just you, learn what you want to say and just go for it.
Now, I study like not music, but like musicians and bands in the 70s, 80s, maybe back to the 60s, dude. And there are groups that were together. They started from a good place. They were friends and they would eat together. But then something would happen. Like either it was money, contracting, or the contract, or writing songs or credits, that a lot of the bands that we know now, famous bands, they end up fighting. They end up, splitting up, and they'd show up and then they do their song and then they leave and everyone hates each other.
Yeah.
And in life, I feel like whenever we have a good village, a good community, it's so important to really invest in a long-term relationship. And a lot of people don't, right? And if you don't, and then there's something like a podcast in the middle of it, dude, if you don't set some things up, it could blow up in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And friendship is so important. So tell me, what are some things that maybe subconsciously or maybe things y'all have talked about that are helping you so that you're around for a long time? Like, how are you planning the long journey for the OsosGolosos podcast?
So we all agree on a goal.
Yeah.
So our main goal is basically, are you in it for the long run? Yes or no? And everybody's like, yeah. And then, but we don't try to make it into like business mindset.
Got it.
We're just here to do it for fun.
Yeah.
That's always like, it just go with that's why I guess separates us from how we are from the other different people, is because we come in, hey man, this is fun, all fun and games, no matter how many people listen to us or whatever happens. We're just doing it just to meet up, you know?
Oh yeah.
So if it ever does get to that point where, you know, we're making good money, I think even no matter what happens, we'll butt heads. Everybody does.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to talk about this day, and somebody's like, I don't want to talk about that, you know?
Yeah.
So you always have to just be like, come together, always focus on that one goal.
Yeah.
And have fun with it. I think always have fun with it is the best one that keeps people together.
I agree. So in your dynamic, y'all have 3 guys on the show. That's hard, dude. I'm solo. Like, I'm interviewing someone.
Yeah.
And so it's like a fresh episode every time that I'm sitting with someone, you know, different vibe, you know, different stories, different perspective, different everything except for me. I'm the only thing that doesn't change.
Yeah.
But for y'all, dude, it's like y'all with each other all the time. You know each other so well. What do y'all do, or what are some challenges that comes with that? And what are some things that y'all do so that that doesn't happen, so you can continue to be creative and create new episodes?
So
do you ever like finish someone's sentence? You're like, you're gonna say this, dude, because I know you so good.
Yeah, having that connection of us knowing each other, how we are, we already know what he's trying to say. So whenever you see the episodes, you can tell like we'll pick up where they left off.
Yeah.
Or we're like, oh, you know what, you used to do this when you were younger, and then you're like, oh yeah, you're right.
Because y'all can't lie in front of each other because y'all know each other. You're like, bro, nah, bro, you weren't ever tall, bro.
Yeah.
Why are you saying you're tall, bro? You know, like things like that. I think that helps y'all be real. What are some challenges that y'all have had up to now? 40-something episodes. That's a good amount. What are some things that you're just like, man, that was dumb, or I'm glad we went through it. We're better for it.
Like I said, just the scheduling. That was the hardest thing for us because everybody has a life and you gotta like work around it. But I think the hardest thing was there was a time where we were trying to set up the video. I was like, okay, man, this is now for real.
So put your makeup on because we're about to go live on the video.
Yeah. And it's like, this is now for real. People are going to see us.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we got to kick it into gear now.
He's like, we got to wear clothes. We can't just come in our boxers anymore.
We can't be looking bummy no more, you know, just in our tank top and just chilling and lounging around. Even though if you look at the videos, we look the same.
Chilling pretty hard. I'm like, they're going to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm not making fun of them. Like, watch it. It's that's part of the spiel, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I think I would fall asleep. The couches look like really fluffy and stuff.
Oh, they're super comfortable, man.
And so congrats on the podcast. You know, I wish you 3 guys, you know, success, and I hope your listenership continues to grow.
Yes.
And I'll be listening from afar and supporting y'all. And so if y'all see me tag them or post anything, this is one of the faces, and hopefully tell your buddies. You know, I don't know how it would work out, but I would love to talk to all 3 of y'all at the same time and see what comes out of it. I think it might be fun.
You have like a perfect setup out here. You showed me. I was like, that'd be a perfect spot.
We'll make it happen. Dude, we'll do it by the lake.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
wherever,
fish. No. And so you have another chapter in your life. So you're doing this podcast and things seem to be going good. But you still had a drive. Like, it seems like this drive is inside of you to do something creative, and you've launched a clothing. What would you call it? Clothing line and apparel.
Brand. Yeah, I think I would say more of a clothing brand.
A clothing brand. The Grizzly brand. And on one of the episodes, I was watching the episode when you talked about it.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up, and you're like, I'm going to be selling them. And today I talked to you and you said, man, I've sold out. Like, I'm low on inventory, which is a good and bad thing at the same time. Like, you never want to run out, but when you run out, it shows that people are supporting your thing. And so if you're listening, you can't see this, so you got to have to go to my Instagram or to the YouTube. But here you go. Like, he gave me this right here. You see that Grizzly? This is a hoodie.
Yep.
You know, I'll wear it in the summer, bro. It's fine. I'm gonna be sweating like a dog. And so Grizzly Apparel. I like the graphics. Very cool. And you got a green one.
Yeah, military green. Yes, sir.
Military green. It's pretty cool. Tell me how this came to be. And right away, dude, like, what are some of your goals? What are some of the challenges that you're facing? And, you know, how do you feel about doing this and people supporting you that you don't know?
So, how that started was, I like to go to the gym, even though it doesn't look like I go to the gym.
Yeah,
you know, I love going.
I
love
like
lifting my
driving
weights.
by the gym.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I got you. It don't even matter. I believe you do. No worries. No worries.
I like to go and like lift my weights, you know, and I've kind of like looked at these other gym brands, right? So I was like, man, I would go buy one, and then the shirt will fit smaller than expected, or their target audience doesn't look like me, you know.
Got it.
So from there, and having my experience from the print on demand, like making custom shirts, I was exposed to a whole different types of shirts and material until I found one that is actually local here in Dallas. I liked the fit. So I was like, you know what? Let me make a brand that fits everybody.
Yeah.
So no matter what it is, what you do, it fits to you.
Yeah.
So the shirt, it fits, I like to say it fits like a big and tall without the big and tall feeling.
Got it.
So it's nice and loose. The sleeves fit comfortably. It has a little length to it, but not too much.
Yeah, I hate when I go to the gym and I'm doing something like this, and then my shirt goes up because it's short, you know, or I don't want like super long tees either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? I need to find something to where it's best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So I found the brand, found the clothing line that's down the street, basically, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to pair up with you because I love the way your shirt fits on me. And then I started making shirts for my family members.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, give me feedback. How does the shirt feel? How does it feel? Do you like the length? How's the shoulders? How's everything? And everybody was like, this is like the best shirt ever. And it's super, super light. And it's like, it's super, super light, especially in the summertime or where you're working out. And I was like, okay, I think this is what I'm going to go with. So, the brand itself is just be yourself no matter what. Don't be afraid.
Be yourself. Come again.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Just go for it.
Just go for it.
And have that grizzly mentality.
Yeah. Talk to me about that model there. I think that. And it's weird, but when you shared about growing up, your mom and working, doing the podcast, it seems like you summed it up in that. And you put it in this brand. Mm-hmm. Why are you trying to put that message out there? Who are you trying to reach and say, dude, this is how I want you to live life? But you obviously support me through the clothing brand. Yeah. But how did you come up with it? Because you have to sit down and write it out and be thoughtful about it. Tell me more about it.
For me, the grizzly mentality is since I've had that nickname, I've always looked into these bears, and I was like, how do they act? Bears or grizzlies are super family oriented. Mama bear takes care of the cubs. And I was like, the first thing I thought about was my mom. I was like, all right, cool. And whenever a bear is just chilling, he's just chilling, living his life, eating, doing what he does best. Yeah. But when he feels threatened and when it's time to do some damage, the damage is done. Time to go at it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This is. I guess this was. I guess it was fate.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what it's supposed to be, grizzly. And I was like, okay. I mean, perfect name.
Tell me a little bit about the support that you've gotten, because you've sold out. Yeah. You don't have to, don't order none from, not joking. No. If someone wants to order something, obviously I'll put it in the description and I'll link them to your Instagram. How are people ordering shirts from you right now?
As of right now, since I'm still fairly new, it's DM me on GuestL Apparel Company.
On Instagram?
On Instagram, yeah.
There you go. And he'll work it out through DM, and then y'all can get a shirt.
Yep.
And so, okay, the first challenge that you shared with me that you've had is inventory. You didn't have enough, and now you're out. Tell me what you learned from that mistake, and what are you going to do so that it doesn't happen again, and how are you preparing from here forward?
So as of right now, what people need to understand business is, for me right now, I'm at the beginning stage, is anything that you get from any business, it's all invested back into it.
Yeah.
So if technically speaking, I haven't made any profit, because everything I get goes straight to it. I was shocked at how much people bought it. I guess because the relationships that I build with people, strangers support you more than sometimes family members.
Yeah.
And once the family members start seeing it, they're like, okay, now he's serious. This is going somewhere.
The shirts you make? Can I have one?
Yeah.
Like, bro, go on my DM. No, just
yeah. I'm like, I mean, sometimes I see like business is business.
Yeah.
I'm just like, if you want to support me, buy a shirt. I love it. But just seeing other strangers buy my brand is like, damn, bro. I was like, this is actually, I got something going then.
Dude, I work out at a gym right by here.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to put an order in. This ain't DM, but I need an extra large black.
Okay.
Okay. Give me one of those because I'm going to wear it to the gym.
I got
and
you.
I'm going to see if people respond, whether they listen to the Phil podcast or anyone, but they'll catch it because it's going to start hitting Fort Worth, man. And so, guys, keep your eye out for it. But here's how it happens. Here's how we fell as friends. Okay, we support any other launch or startup or established brands, and we spend our money day in and day out, and we don't even know the owners or anything. And every now and then, you get an opportunity where a friend of yours or someone from your community, being here from Fort Worth, launches something. And then we, for some reason, it's not in our mind to support them, but yet we're supporting so many other people that we will never know. And so, that's one thing. Whenever I was thinking about you guys at the OsosGolososPodcast, as soon as I heard you announce this, it in my head it clicked. I said, I want to talk about the Grizzly Apparel, even though I want to talk about the podcast. But that's what motivates me about my friends and families and my community is whenever they're doing something that's bigger than that community.
Yeah.
But the community gets an opportunity to birth it. You know what I'm saying? And so if you're listening or watching, you have yet another opportunity to help birth something that's going to go well beyond Fort Worth.
Yeah.
But it's starting here. It's like today, he walked in here and he hooked me up with this. It's probably the last time that he's going to do that if his company continues to grow. But those are the stories that we remember. And so this is the time. And so if you're listening or watching, please get one of these shirts, wear them out when you're working out or just, shopping or whatever.
Yep. Everyday shirt.
We got to learn to support one another.
Yep.
Tell me your thoughts on the word failure. Okay, like how do you feel when you hear the word failure? How do you handle failures in life? And these are the final questions that I ask my guest to kind of close the episodes. Talk to me about those.
Failure, oh man. When I was younger, I would see failure as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, I didn't get what I needed to get. And you just kind of bum yourself out. But growing up, seeing how, I always bring my mom into it because she's always been a big inspiration, but seeing how she's supposed to fail so many times through her health, she's always bounced back.
Yeah. And
seeing my dad hard working, he failed his business in 08, failed, but he bounced back. So I'm like, okay, I need to start seeing failures as lessons. What did I learn from this failure that I can use to not fail again or repeat the same thing? Growing in Southside, it's a cycle,
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, seeing this cycle or failure, how you don't want to be or how you want to grow up or what business you want to go into, the group of people you hang out with, you learn from it. Failure is not a bad thing. Now, it's a life lesson that you have to learn that way you don't do it again.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's not a bad thing. Some people say it's like super bummy and but I get it. I was going through it, but it's a life lesson. You're gonna learn what you need to learn, and during that time, it's a reason why you failed. It might be it's holding you back from committing more of an error, it's putting your dream a little bit on pause because you're going a little too fast for yourself. You know?
Yeah. Some things you got to learn, right?
Yeah, you can't just skip over it. You have to learn it.
Do you think failures played, or just not just failure, but challenges of life played a big role in who you are today?
Yeah. That's why I've learned to be super outgoing. It's
life's a lot better when you're outgoing. When you're grumpy and closed down. It ain't fun, man. I see people driving all the time, and they're just, I'm like, they look mad. And I'm not even next to them. They're in another car, dude. I'm like, no way, man. I don't want to live like that, man. So I love that, man. Be outgoing, be kind, be loving, dude. It ain't gonna hurt you, and it might live somebody else's day. So final thoughts that you want to leave the audience with. Give me your plugs, your handles, how people can find you.
Okay. So I will start with the plugs. OsosGolososPodcast on Instagram for our podcast. And you can watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever you stream it on, we're on it.
Yeah.
Grizzly Apparel Company is to help support the brand. It's not for me, it's for you. Feel comfortable with it. And I think just one thing I want to leave with people is motivation doesn't exist to me. Okay, I'm gonna explain to it is motivation is you get it with action. So if there's no action, you don't see your improvements, and if you don't see your improvements, there's no motivation. So you always got to attack it, go through with it. Once you start seeing results, then your motivation starts kicking in, because you see it, you actually physically see it, and you or feel it or hear it, and that's just what motivates you to keep going. Motivation doesn't start from nowhere. You have to get to action.
I love it, bro. Thank you again for coming on the Failed Podcast. Everyone that's listening, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something. I enjoy just sitting down, talking with people and sharing their story. And, if you're listening and you're going through a tough time, realize that it might be a pause. It's a lesson to be learned. Don't give up. If you're aiming for something for real, if there's a big dream ahead of you, these failures and challenges aren't going to stop you. They're going to make you stronger, and they're going to teach you some things that you need. And then when you got those lessons, you take your next step forward. But don't quit. Keep your head up. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Grizzly, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you.
Keep going. I'll keep on listening, and we'll see y'all later.
Later.